Hey everyone. So I wanted to come on for a minute and talk about the topic of victim mentality. And a lot of people can really get caught up in this, and it's a vicious repeating cycle that if you don't really know how to dissect it, it's hard to work through because it's just this constant conditioning of yourself to feel as a victim and then attracting it into your life. So the thing about victim mentality is this weird paradox to it. So, in a sense, from one perspective, it's not your fault that you're a victim or these things are happening to you in terms of generational trauma. So, for instance, things are carried through your DNA via your parents, and their parents gave it to them. Like our traits, our physical traits, like I have light hair and light eyes. I get that from my through my DNA from my parents, but we also carry down trauma. We also carry down tendencies. We like, for instance, my dad is like super obsessive compulsively neat, and I find that in myself. I find a lot of things, qualities of my dad's personality in myself. So that's just an example of how things are carried through our DNA. But literally, victim mentality is carried through the DNA. And I see this in my family, and I've seen this in many, many different people, friends, all kinds of situations that this can happen in. And we might even see it in ourselves, and that's why it's important to really understand these concepts so we can break them apart and say, does this apply in my life, and where can I make a change? So, in a sense, it's not your fault you're the victim, because it was carried into this lifetime through maybe even a past life, or through the DNA of, the bloodline you chose to incarnate into. Sometimes we choose to incarnate into certain bloodlines, so we're able to clear certain patterns that they've been carrying on, behavioral patterns, maybe addiction, what have you. It could be anything. And so, because it could be you carrying it through like that, it could be not your fault, right? But in a sense, it is your fault. And I say that, and I know that might trigger people, and that's why this is kind of a paradox. It's not your fault, but it is your fault, because if you're aware that you are creating your reality, you are attracting situations, people, and scenarios to create you as a victim into your life, you're doing that. You're focusing on that. When you focus on yourself as being a victim, you attract more situations, people into your life that create a manifestation of victimhood. So for instance, okay, have you ever had that person who cries wolf so much when it comes to being sick? Like, oh, I always have a headache, or I always don't feel good, or always, just whatever, popping Advils or whatever, or whatever. It could be a million things, but like, it's more of a like, are you really sick? But you're always sick, but nothing's ever happened to you. Like, it's like those people who cry wolf in terms of that area. Maybe they are, I don't know. Nobody really knows, because it feels like not genuine in a way. Like, it's like a cry for attention in a way. And it's like, oh, see me as a victim because I need you to validate me, like that you care about me, that I'm worth being cared for. So some people really convince themselves that they are sick so they can be a victim to fulfill their own unworthiness by seeking validation in people through the people feeling sorry for them and showing them that they care about them by coming forward to care for them. But then people on the outside are like, after a while, they're like, okay, but nothing's really happening. Nothing's really changing. We all come to help you, but nothing's really changing. You're always just crying for help all the time. Everybody knows people like this. And I'm not trying to disregard people who are genuinely need help or are sick. There are people who are sick with this mentality and this programming of how to feel worthy. A lot of things that from the outside looking in don't seem like worthiness issues manifest in different weird ways but they're at their roots worthiness issues. Most of our problems at the roots are worthiness issues, lack of self-love. Because here's the thing, like, maybe it isn't your fault that these things are happening to you, and they just are getting passed down to you, and you're not even aware that you're creating it. So it feels more like it's not your fault, right? But it's still your responsibility to clear it and release it. If not, you'll live in victim mentality your whole life. And it's not just with being sick. It's like maybe having a sense of, I've seen this in people, maybe having this sense of entitlement that the world owes you something because of the, like, they'll create these situations like, oh, this happened to me, so like, why aren't these people here for me? Why is nobody here for me? Or you'll have people who like literally intentionally isolate themselves from people who try to help them to look like a victim. And so they can perpetuate the story of being a victim. Or you'll have somebody who was like, maybe like sexually assaulted, okay? And they are so defined by that trauma, and they can't get out of that mental cycle of hurt and pain and shame and all of the feelings that come with that they, every time they meet someone new, they have to tell them the story. They have to tell them the story of why they're a victim. And so because they're telling that story, they manifest a new partner who is physically abusive. Or they'll manifest a situation in their life that perpetuates the fear of police officers that they have because they weren't believed when they were younger, when they said that they had got raped. Like, you could take it in so many different directions. People let their traumas define them, and then they become consumed as being the victim. Because we are not taught to take accountability for how we speak, how we think, how we feel, what has happened to us, what has happened to our ancestors that we're clearing. When we clear those things, that's why we're here as light workers. Because once we build up the courage and the self-love to actually clear those things, we don't just clear them for ourselves. We clear them for every person that dealt with that in the past, because every now moment, everything's happening all at once, the past, the future, and the present. But we're clearing for the future. Wrap your mind around it. It's really difficult sometimes to think quantumly about these types of things. But when you clear for the future, and you clear for your future children. You can clear for anyone in the collective who's going through that same thing. You don't understand how powerful you are as a light worker. When we say we come in here to hold space and help people clear and raise their consciousness and really teach people how to figure out who they truly are, we don't tell anyone who they are. They know who they are. We teach them how to connect. We teach them, we come in and we shine our own light, and through that example, they understand how to connect to their light. And then it's just a snowball effect. And it seems that over time, we haven't progressed that far. But I'm telling you, with every generation, we are gradually waking up. And in all these hundreds of thousands of years before, 2012, it was like, it seemed in linear time like a snail crawling across the table. It took forever. But now, it's not. And now people are waking up, and it's time to take responsibility for everything that has happened in the past, in this life, in past life, in your whatever bloodline you chose to be born into. Take responsibility for all of those traumas and all of those programs that held us back, and start to clear them. Say, this isn't me. This victim mentality isn't me. This me, like, dealing with my abandonment issues through, like, if my boyfriend leaves the house for more than a few hours and I'm texting him and all pissed off at him and go into this huge, like, energy of I'm a victim, why aren't you here for me, where are you at, like trying to control somebody, that all comes back to self-worth issues. All of that, all day, self-worth issues. And it's not easy to identify until you start really becoming the observer and seeing how you speak to others and seeing how you react in certain situations, seeing the type of people that you attract into your life. They're there to teach you something. They're there to perpetuate a cycle that you haven't chose to rise above yet. Whew. So, just because some of the things that have happened weren't necessarily our faults, and we can't really understand why do I feel this lack of self-worth, why do I feel the need to go into victim mode because of my lack of self-worth. You have to start picking it apart. This isn't like oh, I get it, finally get it, it all happens in a snap. No, this is a gradual process. There's no way you could possibly clear every single program you've held all at once. That's impossible. It's evolution. It's the evolution of consciousness. It's going to take time. But now we're having these energies come in and we're really being shot out of the cannon to wake up and take accountability for our own lives and shine our light so other people can see how it's done. But if you're always blaming everyone for everything that's happening to you, and you're just a little saint over here in victim mode, like, that is not how we get through it. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. Like, why am I attracting this? It's not because I'm a victim. I'm attracting this because I haven't taken the opportunity to choose a higher perspective on the issue, situation, person, whatever it is. You always have a choice. You always have a choice to repeat a cycle or to choose a higher vibration. So yeah, that's what I wanted to come on and talk about today. I hope it really, all of us experience this. All of us. Like the extreme stuff, maybe not all of us, but most of us are experiencing victim mentality in some way, shape, or form, and that's when it's a block somewhere. It's a block somewhere, and it's our responsibility to clear it. All it is energy. Don't take this, like, simulation of life too serious. It's just energy. And once you realize that nothing too serious is going on, and you can just sit back and observe yourself, that's when it becomes easier to release things. But it's not entirely easy, because in order to release something, it has to come to the surface, and we have to feel it again in order to release it. And the trick there is not beating up on yourself when it comes to the surface, thinking, I'm not doing this right, because I'm feeling it again, I'm attracting it. You're not attracting it. It just has to come up one more time so you can release it. And just because you've released that doesn't mean you'll never have the experience of anger in your human experience again. We're still physical human beings, 3D. We're still going to experience things that are uncomfortable sometimes. But it's the patterns that you release. It's the always choosing anger instead of peace and observing and responding in a different way. Coming out of victim mode. So yeah, guys, I really hope this set in with some people. Like, they really want me to bring it forward. And I think it's going to resonate. I really do. It definitely did with me, and it helps me be more patient with other people who are, like, not really in their spiritual journey yet, but are going through these cycles, because when you know about it, you're like, oh, they're just doing the best they can from where they're at. So, like, don't judge them and don't come in on them, because that's not going to help them. The only thing that's going to help them is shining your light and leading by example. If people start to gossip in the group you're talking in, just, like, don't participate or walk away, or maybe gracefully express your opinion on it, you know, not to rock the boat, but just share perspective, and not to shame anyone, to just shine your light in that a little bit, you know what I mean? There are ways to navigate through this. Let's not overcomplicate it though. So yeah, guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, just look up Kelsey Franks, and all my services and other information are on my website at kelseyfranks.com. Have an awesome rest of your day.